I want to actually start talking more about you and your background in animation and filmmaking. This is The Missing is obviously an animated film. Um, Ironically enough, about animators. The characters are animators in the film. So tell me more about your background in animation and filmmaking.
Actually, I didn't take up filmmaking or film related course when I was in college. I took up computer science. So because I think growing up at that time around early 2000 when I was in college, um filmmaking is not that accessible to because I didn't grow up here in the metro. So cameras are very expensive. So but I'm very I like drawing a lot. Even when I was young, I grew up watching a lot of anime, and I would be drawing comics or drawing stuff on the edges of notebooks so I can flip them. And then there's I think I was in college when I first saw Richard Linklater's Waking Life. Um, it's a cable channel here in the Philippines where it's late night. Either you get a really good art film or it's just straight up porn. Anyway, but when I saw that, and that's the first time I saw something that crazy and cool at the same time, um, I studied it. I did a lot of research on how I can do rotoscoping. And so when I got the chance, when I started working, when I saved up to buy my own camera, wanted to study how I could do this on my own. I did a lot of research on YouTube. Actually, I'm a YouTube Academy graduate for for a lot of self-taught things. And so when I got a chance around 2015 to create my first animated film, that's when I'm gonna do this.
That's cool. I was also kind of curious, kind of on this subject of you in the space of filmmaking. I was curious to know, like, when you know an idea that you have is something that you need to make into a film.
Okay. Usually, when I make or write stories, I try to put myself in other people's shoes. So, I try to understand what they're going through, and then usually that's when the story come to me, and that's the time then I try to push myself to make a film about what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling. So, usually it's understanding other people why they made their choices or why they did what they did. So, but however, for this case, for the missing, it was more of a coping mechanism for me during a very dark time. A short story. Back in 2018, 2019, I was on my way home from work. I saw our relatives saying condolence to a person that is quite familiar to me, and then I did a research on that person, and then I remember, and then I was brought back to my childhood, and this person did um not not Eric levels,
Hmm.
not the same thing that happened to Eric, but akin to that. But
Hmm.
that's why I wrote it, because I was so angry, and I was uh processing what I was feeling. So I wrote down the story of the missing. So usually when I make my own films, it's just trying to understand myself, and I'm trying to understand other people.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about The Missing. For people who might just be discovering this film, can you give a synopsis on what The Missing is about?
Okay, so the missing is about an animator whose life and memories untangle us when his mother asked him to look for his missing uncle. So that's the missing.
and it's super interesting because it kind of has this sci-fi alien aspect to it. And there's obviously the main character Eric is going through something where he's
Mhm,
experiencing this alien.
mhm,
And I think the movie eventually reveals what that parallel is between this mysterious alien that's haunting him and what's going on in his real life, right?
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Um, I am curious. So it's playing at the Seattle International Film Festival, and I'm so happy that it's coming here to Seattle. What was your reaction when you heard that it'd be playing here in Seattle?
Actually, every time we get news that we're gonna be shown anywhere, it's um especially for this film because we want to reach a lot of people, probably encourage people to talk or to to encourage them to speak their truth. So it really means a lot whenever a festival or someone wants to screen our film. So especially for this one. Um, I think I rarely before the missing I didn't get to show my films that much in the US, but with this one, I think the US is more welcoming to to this story for some reason.
I mean, it's a very compelling story of a heavy subject matter. But that actually leads directly into my next question, where I want to know your perspective on audience reactions to this movie, particularly when it comes to cross cultures, right? How did this movie play to audiences in the Philippines compared to how it's playing to audiences here in North America? What are you
Mhm.
seeing with audience reactions across cultures?
Actually, I think since the film is very personal and no matter where you go, there will be stories like this that well, unfortunately, a lot of people have been through or have underwent this kind of story. So, the festivals or the screenings that we attended, it's both sad and happy. Happy that people are reacting positively to it, like they want to show it to other people, or sometimes even at screenings, people would approach me and they will open up about their own personal story. So I guess with that, in that way, um, we created sort of a small community wherein we could get to talk about what happened or to open up to other people or sometimes it feels liberating to talk about stuff that you don't want to open to other people. But yeah, for the reaction to the screenings, it has been good. Actually, I here in the Philippines, it's we rarely get animated films, much so anime adult animated films. Usually we get like one animated film a year. So in the festival that we premiered in, we were surprised that a lot of people want to see it because apparently we got good word of mouth, and
Exceptional
then
word of mouth. I just double checked. The movie is still sitting at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, 93% audience score. Certainly a lot of really positive word of mouth about this film, and deservingly so, I think.
thank you.
Um, you're talking about animation and how animation isn't it doesn't those kind of movies don't really happen all that often in the Philippines, particularly with adult animation. Tell me more about that landscape of animation and how what you're doing to try to carve a bigger opportunity for that medium with your work and what the Philippines has to offer with resources for that.
Actually, I would say that we have a lot of really good animators here in the Philippines. It just so happened that it's quite expensive to make animated films, and not a lot of production companies want to risk to make animated films, and there are not a lot of filmmakers who create original content for animated films here in the Philippines. But hopefully, with the missing, it could start something. Filmmakers. Hopefully, filmmakers would brave out to pitch. To be more crazy, to pitch this kind of stories, and yeah, like what I said, we have a lot of animators here in the Philippines. Just so
Mhm.
happens that um Filipino original stories don't get that much funding.
It's tough.
Filipino original stories for that are animated. So
I understand. I mean, it can be really tough to take risks like that. And I'm happy to see the missing that risk pay off so well here with this movie. Um and I know that I'm sure that there's a lot of great animation talent out there, and I really do hope that the success of this film helps um inspire more risk taking in the animation space.
I hope so too. Yeah.
What I found super interesting when watching the film, so it's called The Missing, and you have this character Eric. We meet him and he's missing his mouth. But he also starts missing other extremities throughout the story. And interestingly enough, there's pieces of the animation that are missing, and you get that gray and white checker background that anybody who's used Photoshop is familiar with, you know.
Yes.
Tell me about the that concept where you're it's a kind of meta where it comes to when it
Yeah.
comes to the animation, and when something's missing, it's what an
That's
animator
true.
would see is missing.
Yeah, because for the missing body parts, it's more of a symbolism of, or that metaphor, that it's not just your ability to talk that's taken away from you. Um, you don't get to be intimate with other people because this kind of trauma can affect that. So that's why Eric lost his dick.
Hmm.
And so on. As for the grayscale, the what they call the checkered gray
Hmm.
and white. Yeah, because it's in animation, or those people who use Photoshop or After Effects would be familiar that this is something that signifies absence of something. So I want that feel that Eric's work is also affected by what is happening to him. So he is reflecting his work and what he's going through with his present and mental state. So that's why I wrote it that way.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
a
no.
tough sell actually. When when my producers first saw it, so they said to me, "What the heck is going on?"
Again, we're taking risks in animation. I mean, it's, on your first watch, that's exactly what you're asking. What's going on here? But I think that that's the story in general. You're really piecing together kind of what's happening. You have this alien, this sci-fi thing going on, what's real, what isn't. The whole thing is
Yeah.
just piecing it together. But I think it is interesting to see everything unfold and to see how it all comes together and then get to the end and realize what's going on and how Eric is dealing with that. Um, so that was super interesting for me to watch. Let's talk about the cast. Tell me about working with this cast, and especially in this very special medium that we have going on here with Rotoscope.
Actually, when I surprisingly, it was an easy pitch to them. I sent them the script, and then I talked to them and I pitched them the story, and then I told them why I'm making this and why why I selected them to be part of this film. Um, and then yeah, all three of them said yes to me when during the meeting, during our Zoom call. Um, Carlo Aquino, I've been a fan ever since I was young. And he, for me, is a very intense actor. when we shot it, actually I was kind of scared because he was quiet the whole time. Well, most of the time. During the early days of our shoot, and then I asked him if he is doing method with the with the in his attack in in his acting in the film, but he said that actually he was scared because he didn't want to portray it incorrectly. That's why he was in his head. And but we talked a lot about uh why we were making this film, and he got it actually. He is really good. And as for Gio Gahol, what we did, the same thing. I pitched it to him, and then he said yes. He wanted to do it, and then we talked a lot for weeks, even going into the shoot. And now he's actually a really good friend of mine. We talked about the film and its motivation, and he's very, very, very invested in the film. He would even suggest um he would even suggest to me if we could tweak some of his dialogues, and uh because he feels like this is what this person would do, then we will talk about it. And then Dolly, um I was already a big fan, but I haven't seen Triangle of Sadness before, because it wasn't showing yet when
Hmm.
we made this film. But I saw this HBO like anthology series. It's a horror anthology series that she's really good in it, and I wanted her to be in the film. Luckily, the production company that we were in, Project 8 Projects, was really good friends with Dolly de Leon and have been working with her for quite some time now. So I pitched it to her. She said yes, and then I said to her, "Okay, it's not gonna be entirely Tagalog. It's some of it is a different language." And then she said, "Oh, well, okay." So what we did is we hired a dialect coach for her to, yeah, and it was really a great experience working with them. They were all invested in the film, in telling the story, even up to now. So yeah, it was a blast.
That's really cool. I'm happy that everything fell into place and that you had that communication and that rapport with this cast. I think that the chemistry really comes out with this cast in this movie.
Actually, I have a quick story about
Yeah.
it. We would even, even we just shot in 4 days, but we would still find time to joke around and mess around with them. Actually, there's one blooper reel that got in the film, that the part where Dolly said, "That's my boy."
Mm-hmm.
That's not in the script. We were just messing around with her. We were just feeding her lines, and we said like, "Okay, now your son and possibly boyfriend is kissing in front of you." Then she, then she was surprised, and she said, "Oh, that's my boy."
What a great improvised line. That's awesome.
She didn't break character, so the
No,
was
it's a great moment in the film, and she's that's I guess just the side effect of being so dialed into to her character and knowing how to improvise a scene like that.
yeah,
So
she's
that's
really
really
good.
yeah, absolutely. So you were talking earlier about you being kind of a DIY filmmaker, so to speak. I mean, you learned a lot of animation on your own. You learned about YouTube, and you got into filmmaking. Everything you've kind of done DIY. I want to know if you have recommendations for other filmmakers who are kind of in that same DIY situation where they're just kind of learning on the fly, don't have like formal education on filmmaking or animation or anything, but are just kind of like trying to make their ideas work. What recommendations do you have?
Um, I would say, yeah, educate yourself. I mean, there's a lot of resources online, Google, um, Wiki, or even YouTube. There are lots of articles or how-to tutorials, but I guess your best teacher, I guess, is to watch a lot of films. If you want to get into, say, yeah, animation, then watch a lot of animated films and get inspired, and then try to broaden your reach. I guess the with the streaming boom in the recent years, we have a lot of non-American films that are also available on YouTube or on Netflix, Amazon Prime, and such. Um, so those kind of animation are easily accessible now compared to before, where we have to wait like years before we could get to see the films that are on festival rounds. And then if you're into writing your own stories or writing scripts, I would suggest to read scripts. That's what I did actually. Uh, I just Google the films that I love or that I want to read the script. Like Social Network. Yeah, that's a brilliantly written film.
Excellent, excellent
I,
film.
I forgot the website that has the scripts of upcoming films, like I don't know, Blacklist or something.
Oh yeah, 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 the Blacklist. Yeah.
I I download scripts from there as well, and then try to be oriented with other filmmakers and other styles of storytelling.
Excellent. I think really great insight and feedback for people who want to get into it and are kind of going that DIY route. I think that that all is great feedback and
Plus,
insight.
plus, I think the generation now is more lucky because they could shoot films with their phones.
Hmm.
I mean, compared to before, probably camera would cost like a $10,000 to
Hmm.
just get one. And back then, when I was in college, the cameras don't even have sound and it's all choppy. So, we would just use web cameras to make our films if you want to do it. But now, you could do it on your phones, and if you want to make your own film, then educate yourself, study about it, then don't let anyone say that you can't do it. Just do it.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to bring this to a close here in a moment, but something that I wanted to get your insight on when it comes to this film and also kind of just current events, I guess you can say. So, as of this recording, we are approaching Mother's Day here in the States.
Mhm,
And we were just talking about Dolly de Leon playing Rosalinda in the film.
mhm,
And so, I guess in honor of Mother's Day, I wanted to get your insight on the significance of that role of motherhood in
mhm.
this particular story when it comes to Rosalinda and Eric.
Um, for the film, Rosalinda represents that part of, I mean, well, Eric represents the victim, or something bad happened to him, and then Gio is someone who knows that something bad is happening, tries to get along with it, and then he just stops it when Eric was hurting himself. But Rosalinda is the because here in the Philippines, there is a lot of research actually wherein this kind of horrendous things are swept under the rug because it would ruin the family or not. But actually, the thing is, sometimes you just have to open up to them and tell them something's wrong. And I try to emulate my mom also to how Rosalinda was written, because my mom is when she was still with us, she was a very strong and powerful woman, and she would fight for me to to the death. And I guess here in the film, I wanted to show that I guess some people are lucky enough to have a strong support system that could help them get through tough times. And sometimes we just need the love that the people around us can share to us. And something, and I got that from my mom when she was still alive, and I wanted to put that on screen.
Excellent. And you did a phenomenal job here. So thank you for making this film. And I'm really happy that it's going to be screening here at the Seattle International Film Festival. For audiences who will be checking it out here, is there anything that you want to say about the film that people should know ahead of time that maybe we haven't talked about yet? Yeah, just anything you want to say to people before they go into this film.
Um, just watch it. Just kidding. Um, I hope you I hope you get to see the film. A it's a rare feat, I guess, from the Philippines to create an animated film, and this is one of those. But we have a lot of talented filmmakers and animators in the Philippines, and I hope that this could, pique your interest and to watch other Filipino films as well. Um, and disclaimer, this could be triggering to other viewers. So if you have undergone to sexual abuse or that kind of trauma, this might not be for you. Better
Mhm.
bring your friends along and then debrief afterwards.
Yes, debriefing. Honestly, the one of the best things about filmmaking is the ability to take what that film has presented and talk about it afterwards. I
Mm,
think those conversations are just as important, honestly, maybe even more important than the entertainment value or the hour and a half that you spend in the theater. There's so much that
mm,
you can then take away and process and converse about and I love that aspect about film, and I think that The Missing is a perfect example of something that should generate conversation. So
thank you.
I
Actually,
will,
I remember, just quick.
yeah, no,
I
absolutely.
have a lot of stuff to tell anyway.
No, you're good.
When we show this film in the Philippines, sometimes me and Gio Gahol would be at the screening, and then we would, reach out to the people who are coming out of the theaters, and then we would ask them if they have friends along, then maybe they could debrief, or if they want to talk to us about the film or their feelings or anything. We did that with during our screening, but now we can do it. Anyone who wants to talk to me about the film, I'm very open to talking. Thank
That's
you so much.
awesome. Very cool. I'll link your social medias in the video, so the video description. So awesome. Thank you so much, Carl. I appreciate this, and I'm wishing you and the film all the best luck going forward. Okay.